Well, welcome back, everybody. Seth and Sean Sports Radio. A couple of programming notes. The next 3 weeks, we will be on a different schedule. We're not exactly sure when that will be. Next week, I'll be on a plane to Texas. The week after, I'll be in Texas. And the week after, you'll be somewhere else. You'll be on vacation, my friend. Look at this. I haven't seen you this happy in a long time.
That you're going to Texas?
No.
No, but I don't know who looks more tired, me or you.
Yeah. It's been a couple of weeks, but look, I am very much looking. The sports world, while nuts and on its head most of the last 2 weeks, with conferences realigning, our women's soccer team disappointing. Yes, I am bringing up soccer again.
Again.
This is a good time. Henry Ruggs today sentenced 3 to 10 years for his DUI. 3 years, he'll probably be out with parole, and then
he'll be a Raider.
He'll only be 28 years old.
He'll be a Raider.
Yeah, and he'll be back. Yeah, he'll be back with the Raiders. But let's first start with the, I guess, RIP to the PAC and rest in peace.
How much would you pay to have Bill Walton on right now to give his eulogy of the Conference of Champions?
Or let's see here, or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, or Marshawn Lynch, or Barry Bonds, or I can name.
Oh no! I want to listen to Bill Walton's.
I'd also want to hear Randy Johnson's.
Kareem's would be the most articulate. Walton's would be whatever drug he was on at his 847th Dead and Company show.
Yeah.
It sucks. This whole thing sucks. And shame on the Pac-10. Shame on the commissioners.
Wait. It's not just on the Pac-10, right? Shame on the Big Ten. Shame on the
No. This is the Pac-10. It's had years to get this. The commissioners have had years to get these deals together.
Yeah.
Years.
No, but I'm talking about USC and UCLA basically stripped away the Pac-10 before any of this even happened. This was the nail in the coffin, but the coffers were definitely coming loose when USC and UCLA went to the Big Ten.
Look, I am certainly not happy about it, but I don't throw the Big Ten or the Big 12 under on either of these. This is the Pac-10 couldn't take care of themselves.
Oh, I'm not throwing. Look, when you can't handle your own house, people are going to come in and take it, right? I mean, when you look at Florida State and you look at what the ACC is doing, and if they lose Florida State, well, that's on Jim Phillips. That's on the ACC.
They can't lose. The Florida State can bitch and moan all they want. They are in supposedly the most ironclad of ironclad deals until 2036.
Supposedly. But
they've been talking for years about getting out.
Right, but my point is, if they get out, that's not on them. They're looking for a better deal. Yes. That's not on the ACC. They're looking they're looking to keep them. It's on the commissioner for not keeping them happy. It's all about how you can keep these teams happy. And I don't know about you, Cal and Stanford are going to be in the ACC. They just are. There's nowhere around it.
Maybe we get rid of Atlantic and just call it the Coast Conferences. Maybe that makes more sense. I mean, poor Washington State and Oregon State, they're going to end up, unless they're going to try. The only thing I can think of is unless you say, okay, we'll keep these 4. We'll bring in San Diego State. We'll bring in Boise. We'll bring in Gonzaga. And we'll revise Pac-10. I mean, or Pac-8. I don't know.
But even if you get to that Pac-8, you're not getting that money. Money is 23.
Well, the Apple deal is so bad that it doesn't matter. Nobody's going to buy this. That's what I mean. Look, they've been talking for 3. Larry Scott originally, and then the guy who came in, I don't remember his name, Kavlikov, I think, came in, and all they've been talking about is building this big media deal.
Yep.
You couldn't even get a guarantee contract within $10 million of the Big 12. You couldn't get shit.
Yeah.
Sorry. Did my cursing?
No, I stepped on something by accident. So no,
Okay.
not you.
So you couldn't get anything. You got a streaming deal that is based on what you people that subscribed.
Yeah, it's the Lionel Messi deal. I mean, that's basically what it is, right? It's the Apple deal with MLS. It's the Lionel Messi deal.
But it's the MLS has other. There's a lot of other moving parts. This was it. This is the culmination of years and years and years. And if I'm Washington or I'm Oregon, and supposedly they were okay with USC and UCLA leaving.
Right.
That's the funny part of all this.
Well, they were okay with it because that made them the head honcho in the Pac-10.
Yeah. But Arizona State did not want to leave. Supposedly Utah did not want to leave. They all kind of felt like they had no choice.
Right. Well,
because this deal was that bad.
Well, once Washington and Oregon left, that was the end of that conference.
Right. Well, the deal came out, and then within 2 days, within 48 hours, 5 teams were gone.
Yeah.
So, I mean, or do you have the all academic, or you have Cal and Stanford and UC and Northwestern, and you can come up with all sorts of silly stuff.
There's no way Northwestern.
I said you could come up with all sorts of silly stuff. I didn't say it was going to happen.
All right. Look, there's only one place for Cal and for Stanford to go. There's only one place. They can't go to. They're not going to the WAC or whatever that is. They're not bringing over San Diego State. They are going to, and truth be told, I'm happy that they're coming to the ACC, or it will happen, because that makes the ACC a relevant conference. The ACC, in the point that there will be 4. That's it. They will be one of the big 4. Yes. Now, are they the smallest of the big 4? I don't know. In football, I think so, probably.
In football, yes. In basketball.
Basketball, no.
I mean, last couple of years have not been overly strong.
No, the SEC is the worst team in the worst conference in basketball.
Not the last couple of years. But in general, yes, the SEC would be. But the SEC has gotten much stronger because of all the income revenue that's come in.
Right. I think if you're ranking them straight out, the SEC is probably the best in football, and the Big Ten is very close with the addition of USC now, UCLA, and Oregon and Washington.
Yes, that makes them a solid number 2. They probably weren't before then.
Correct.
Then you'd go probably the Big 12.
Then you go to the Big 12, and then you go to the ACC.
Big 12 and the ACC are pretty close.
Then you go in basketball, and the Big 12 is the best conference of all.
Yes.
I mean, flat out, they're the best conference.
Especially bringing in Arizona.
Yeah. Right. So they become number 1. Again, I think the Big 10 is either 2 or 3. They're not 4. So they're in the middle for both. But but top to bottom, they're probably the best.
They have the least weakness, most likely.
Yeah, their weaknesses are Rutgers. That's their weakness.
You read the article in the Atlantic about that?
I did.
Athletics.
It is. It's horrible. Yeah. I mean, for the savior that was supposed to be financially, it didn't save him at all. And I have no idea. Look, I know athletically how Maryland has fared in the Big Ten, and it hasn't been great. It hasn't been horrible, but it hasn't been great. You've been
mediocre.
Financially, has it actually accomplished what you guys wanted it to do, which is pull you out of whatever crap?
Yeah, pull us out of the red.
So you're in the black.
We're about break even. I think we're not. Look, we're never going to be hugely in the black because our football doesn't generate income, much revenue. But it pulled us out. We are, and now with getting rid of the divisions. Although I don't know what the hell happened.
Good luck scheduling now.
I mean, what I assume is the 4 teams in the West are going to play each other every year. And then you're going to probably go out everybody will go out once or twice a year. I mean, I don't know.
I think the one thing that's probably lost is interconference games. I can't see how teams play interconference anymore. Like, I mean, you'll have your 3 cupcakes at the beginning, right? But once you start conference schedule, I mean, the good part about Stanford coming to the ACC is that if they do, is that Stanford will play Notre Dame every year because guess what? They'll be in the same conference, at least for football.
That's the rivalry game anyway, so that works.
Exactly. And you'll have Stanford Cal because that will, again, be in the same conference. But can you see any of those outside conference games being played? I mean, there's just too much in conference scheduling now. I mean, how many teams? The Big Ten is what, 16? 18?
18.
18, you're going to play 8 games, right? 8 games in conference.
Yes.
And you play 11 overall, give or take, maybe 12. And generally 1 or 2 of those is out of conference. I'm not sure you're going to see any out of conference games.
You will. I'm not worried about that. You may not. It also depends, I think, on how some of these teams have left.
Why?
I mean, if you've read what Mike Gundy has talked about.
Well, yeah, you won't see Oklahoma. Bedlam's done.
Bedlam's done. I think there's the Pac-10 is a little bit less animosity.
Okay, but what teams are playing? UCLA and Stanford? That doesn't.
Well, maybe Oregon State, Wash State.
Yeah, the Apple Cup or whatever the other.
Yeah, I mean, I think those you'll still see, but because I don't think anyone thinks Oregon or Washington are the 3. Nobody got thrown under the bus on those. The conference as a whole may have, but they did it.
I think that's your point. They didn't do it on themselves. The conference did it.
Arizona State supposedly, the commissioner, the AD, I forget which one it was, has really been the biggest backer of the Pac-10 for all these years. And he said he hated this. He has no interest in going, but they have no choice.
Well, of course they have no choice. I mean, what's the option?
Well, that's what I'm saying. They did what they had to do, but it doesn't mean they're happy about it.
Yeah, there is absolutely no option for these teams. None. And you feel bad for the Washington States and the Oregon States. You do.
Yeah.
And look, I think there is no team that is more out of whack in a conference than SMU in the AACC. None. Like I see yes, they're in Texas. Yes, they'll bring Texas to the party. But my God, what's the closest team to SMU? Like they're smack dab in the middle. What's the closest team, Seth?
I don't know. I forget who's in the AAC now that Cincinnati's gone.
No, from the ACC.
Oh, the ACC. SMU's not going to the ACC.
Yes, they are being recruited to the ACC.
Are they really?
Yep, the 2 teams, the Cal and Stanford and SMU. And
are there 15 teams? Are they trying to?
I don't know if they'll bring over another one, but where like SMU seems so out of the ACC sphere, not because it's not an Atlantic Coast Conference team, but what team fits that? Like, I just don't see it.
Did they go over with UConn?
That's interesting.
Or, I mean, UConn and West Virginia go over and SMU takes West Virginia's spot because West Virginia is supposedly miserable in the Big 12. Like, no idea.
Did UConn join the Big 12? Is that done? No. They're still independent, right?
Yes. And
they went independent for a reason. I mean, look, if you're looking at the winners in this,
because they're a basketball school and they're in the good basketball cup. Well, they're in the AAC still, aren't they?
So the winners in the realignment, okay? The winners in the realignment. Cincinnati is a winner. Colorado is a huge winner.
Yeah, why is Colorado a huge winner?
Well, first of all, they left the Pac-10. Second of all,
but the Pac-10 is gone, so it doesn't.
They're going back to their old rivalries in the Big 12, which they had before this.
What rivalries? They were relevant for like 5 years.
So what?
And their wait a minute, no. Their rivalries are Nebraska, who's in the Big Ten, and
Kansas
Oklahoma.
and Kansas.
Who has ever seen the big Colorado-Kansas rivalry?
All right, fair
When
enough.
did that exist?
All right. Arizona wins.
Yeah.
If Arizona's a basketball team,
that's going to a great basketball conference.
It's going to the best basketball conference in the country. Yes. They win. Fair. Obviously, the Big 12 wins.
Yes.
Okay. Now, did they win because Texas and Oklahoma left? They lost in the last round, but they won in this round, right? Overall, I don't think they won. I don't think.
Who are we talking? Wait, who are we talking about? Sorry.
The Big 12, the conference.
Big 12 won.
Overall, losing Texas and Oklahoma?
They won because they survived.
Right. No, I get that. But I'm saying in the latest realignment.
No, they lost the two biggest teams. They lost Oklahoma and Texas.
Right. They lost. Do you think Oregon and Washington win by going to the Big Ten? Because I think they lose. For a couple of reasons. First of all, they don't get all the money.
Yeah, their share is minimal.
They get half the money. And number two, Oregon was waiting, in my opinion, for this Big 12 thing for the Pac-10 thing to shape up, because now USC and UCLA are gone. We are going to be the dominant team on the West Coast. And not that we haven't been before, but we can even do more now because we're the only team, we're the best team on this side. Your family doesn't have to go anywhere. You can just stay on the West Coast. Now, because Oregon and Washington now have to play half their games in the Central Time Zone, that is not a win for them. Definitely not a win for them. And we've said the losers. I mean, the losers are everybody else in the Pac-10. I mean, they are definitely a loser.
Utah's not really a loser.
No,
they get their big rivalry game.
No, I meant everybody that was left. Right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's a given.
But let me ask you this. Does Maryland, Rutgers, Northwestern, Minnesota, do they lose? Because your conference, the Big 10, which is now the Big 18, is certainly far more diluted than it was before. And so you got 4 teams, 3 of which in recent past, in recent memory, have been much better than you. Much, much better, right? Mm-hmm. UCLA, you can say, was in football, right? Mm-hmm. And now your chance of getting to one of those bowl games, even in a shot in the dark scenario, that one year that you happen to get the best recruit,
is even more
gone.
I don't worry about that. I don't see Maryland as ever becoming a football powerhouse. So, look, would it have been easier in a couple of years when we're not playing Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State every single bleeping year? Yeah, it would be easier. But I look at you look at the Big Ten. I mean, it's not good for us. I don't think it's terrible for us. I think it's just there. Like, I have no real opinion, to be perfectly honest. And I kind of like the idea of seeing Maryland USC. I do. I kind of like watching Maryland Oregon because it means probably the one matchup that I could watch with my wife.
And it's the one matchup you can watch at 10 o'clock at night and be okay with.
That's right. There will be. Now I will have 10 o'clock Maryland games that I can watch at night when everyone's asleep.
See?
That's good. I mean, we'll be losing 37-6.
And the Big Ten network will be all over those 10 o'clock games because now they have something to broadcast at 10 o'clock.
Exactly. Like, I don't like it. I don't like any of this. I think this is all horse crap. But what am I going to do?
I think what I need in my brain is a little bit of stability. I think I need, look, we understand that there are now 4, right? Please, for the love of God, for the next 5 years, keep it as 4. Like, and keep it where
yours is the most dangerous one.
Oh, I know. Mine's the most dangerous of coming in and going out. Mine's the most volatile.
Yeah.
That's the way and the way for it not to be volatile is the basketball program stepping up and being what they were. We need to, the ACC, and I say we because I'm a Syracuse fan in the ACC, we need to be the basketball conference. That's it.
Yes.
We're never going to be the football conference. And chances are we'll never be better than number 3 at any time in this 1 through 4.
No, I mean, look, Clemson can go right back to the championship caliber. Florida State, people have in the top 10.
Okay, so you got 2 teams, and then Notre Dame, 3.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying.
No, I know, but now you're bringing in 2 programs that have suffered in a big way. Cal and Stanford are not good football programs right now at all. SMU is the best of the 3, and quite frankly,
to be fair, Stanford until 2 or 3 years had a great 8 to 10 year run.
Agreed. That's what I'm saying. I'm looking at this today. So let's say Clemson stays as a top 10 school. Notre Dame stays as a top 10 school, which top 25 school. Florida State gets back to a top 25 school. Okay, you got 3 teams in there. You don't think that there's going to be more than 3 teams in the Big Ten and the SEC every year in the top 25? Of course there are.
Well, look, no. We're talking top 25 is different. Top 25, North Carolina makes it, Virginia Tech makes it. There's always arbitrary teams that make it. But there are 2 legitimate. I mean, look, we were talking top 10 in the Big 12. What Big 10, what top 10 teams are you sure you're going to see?
No,
I know in the Big 10, I'm going to see Ohio State and Michigan. I know in given years, Penn State and Wisconsin will be there. So now Oregon and USC may be there.
Well, what I did say was we would be no better than 3rd. I didn't say we would be 4th every year. I said we would be no better than 3rd. I don't think there's ever a time where the ACC will be better than the SEC or the Big Ten, ever in football.
Definitely not the SEC.
And I can't see top to bottom being better than the Big Ten.
By the way, can we all just get a good laugh the first year that the Oklahoma and Texas are in the SEC and they go 5-7?
It wouldn't surprise me.
Wouldn't surprise me either.
I mean, Texas has not been great.
Texas has not been good.
Right. Well, I guess that's my point. Texas is not the concern. I think Oklahoma is a bigger one. But again, that's all about money. I mean, all this is about money.
Well, of course it is. It's certainly not about football or about sports.
No.
I mean, the idea of Maryland's women's volleyball team having to fly to Stanford. Like, look, it crushes the small sports.
Right. And that was going to be my next question, because now you have Title IX implications too, right? Where you have these smaller programs, these smaller sports. I'm just using diving as an example, men's diving, right? Men's diving has to go with men's swimming. I mean, obviously A plus B, but men's diving counts as a separate sport for these schools. And if you're going to cut a sport and funding for a sport because you have additional travel, because you have to keep the same amount of money in women's sports, diving's one of those ones that's going off the beat. So is swimming. I mean, you'll have your track teams, right? You're always going to have your track teams. You probably always will have your tennis teams. But other than that, these small sports, you're kind of wondering how many more are going to become club sports as opposed to actually.
I think it'll also depend, to be honest, from a state-to-state from a school-to-school standpoint, on the success.
Absolutely.
Of these sports.
Maryland will never not have women's basketball.
Well, yeah, the women's basketball isn't even a concern.
But never not have women's lacrosse.
Yeah, they're going to have lacrosse. They're going to have soccer, but men's and women's in both, because they're powerhouses in all those.
Yep.
But there may be school there's going to be schools that will not. I mean, you talk Stanford's success. I mean, Stanford won the whatever it's called. I forget the cup's name. God knows how many years in a row, not because of the success of their football team or their basketball team.
Everything else.
Golf. Everything else.
Yeah, they won the golf team. I mean,
Yeah, California won water polo like 8 years in a row.
Where did Tiger Woods go? Oh, Stanford. Right, exactly. Yeah, I just, Seth, I just want some stability here. Like a couple of years where this is not the top story, where every time something happens, you're thinking about what's the next shakeup in conferences. I really just want some stability. I think you're going to have some for a while at this point. Once this next round shakes up, where Cal and or Stanford and or SMU go somewhere, then you're going to have 4 conferences of about 16 teams apiece. And then you really can't do anything more, can you? I mean,
I don't think so. I mean, unless what you're going to have is something like a Champions League where you're going to have the top 20 teams just divest themselves of the conferences and run their own thing. I don't think it'll ever, people have talked about it. I don't think it'll ever happen.
And then I'm always interested in seeing how the NCAA basketball tournament is going to shape up now, because all these teams are going to be playing each other, right? So you're going to be having lots and lots of like 17 and 15 teams, right? And then you're going to have the smaller conference, College of Charleston, at 26 and 2. And then you're going to have that conversation of, well, Wisconsin went 17 and 15 and Charleston went 24 and 2. Why are we picking Wisconsin over Charleston?
Yep. The same conversation we have every year.
Right. But you're going to have more of it because now they're just going to be beating the crap out of each other. Before you had at least separate conferences where they weren't just going round robin. Now they're all going round robin within themselves. I don't know. We could beat this dead to the.
We've been hosting this 12 years, buddy. We've beaten everything to them.
Well, we haven't, because I have something for you. I have the Seth Kamens Project. Okay.
Oh my!
Here is the Seth Kamens Project. It's really the Deion Sanders Project, but I'll call it the Seth Kamens Project.
Okay.
I want you to make an upper room of the NFL Hall of Fame. Deion says that there are too many people in the Hall of Fame. There are a minimum of 4 every single year. This year, there were 9.
How many of those 9 did you think belonged?
Well, we're going to go through them. This is part of the exercise, okay? I will do in the upcoming weeks a baseball one, because I think football is more purview. Your purview, baseball would be mine. We can both do the basketball one at a time.
How many?
Well, that's what I was going to get to. How many do you think is a good barometer? Now, football has 11 on each side, which is a lot different than, say, basketball, which only has 5. So, top 100? Is that fair?
Are we doing just top level, top 2 levels, top 3 levels? How are we doing?
Inner room, however you would like to define the inner room.
Okay. The inner. Okay.
The inner room.
We're having our baseball Hall of Fame conversation from many years ago. The small hall versus the big hall.
Right, but you're going to create it. So right now there are 371 members of the Football Hall of Fame. Okay? You have to knock off almost 75% of those and only pick 100.
Okay.
Okay? See? The Seth Kamens Project. I think this is a good project, okay?
I like it.
I will write them down.
Am I doing this right now?
Oh, yeah, we're doing this on the fly, my friend.
Oh, wow. Okay.
On the fly.
All right. I got to get to the list.
I'm going to ask you this. Do you have a certain amount for each position, or do you believe that the inner is the inner?
The inner is the inner.
Okay, the inner is the inner. So I'm interested more for you as to how many quarterbacks are going to be in there versus how many safeties are going to be in there versus how many corners are going to be in there. Because obviously we all know that there are a lot less safeties than there are quarterbacks in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Sure.
Okay. Now, of the 9 that are in, you can start with these 9. Rondé Barber?
No.
Don Coryell?
No.
Chuck Howley?
No.
Joe Klecko?
No.
Darrelle Revis?
Can I have I need a maybe list because I don't know where I'm going to end up.
Okay, so we'll put Revis on the maybe list because I know you have him there. Ken Riley.
No.
Joe Thomas.
Maybe.
Wow. Okay. You're hedging bets here because I would have had Joe Thomas on the definite yes. Zach Thomas.
No.
And DeMarcus Ware.
No.
Okay. So now we're going to go through these, and I'm going to ask you. It's got to be I have the list of Hall of Famers here. Hold on a second. Here's my number. All right. I'm going to do it by number, because I think that's just a better, a arbitrary way of doing it. Wilbur Henry. I don't know.
No idea who he is, so no.
Jim Otto.
So what I'm doing right now, I am now on the NFL Hall of Fame website.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually looking to see. So I'd say, yeah, I'll put Jim Otto in.
Are you by position, by the way?
Yes.
That's why you're doing it that way.
I have to. I have no other way to do it.
Okay. All right. So why don't you tell me who's on it?
Okay. So I'm going to start with.
So let's go with the centers. Who's the centers?
Okay,
Don't do the counting. I'll do the counting.
Okay. Jim Otto, Mike Webster.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Any other centers?
No.
Okay, let's go to tackles.
Okay.
You have 2. And we may only get through the offense today. This may be a multi-week project here. But I think it's a good conversation. You want to make you're a small Hall of Fame guy. Now you make your small Hall of Fame.
Okay. Larry Allen.
Now here's another thing. Every year you take one guy, put one guy in, you got to take one guy out. Limited to 100. And how do you tell that person he's out?
Very carefully, or they're dead.
Only deceased people can be removed.
Exactly.
All right, Larry Allen.
All right, so John Hanna.
Okay. I agree with all 4 of these so far, by the way.
Anthony Munoz.
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
I got him out too. Okay.
Okay, let's go to the next ones. I can always go back.
Well, I'm going to put Chuck Bednarik in there.
Right. See, I see him as a linebacker, not as an offensive lineman.
Okay. I'm putting Walter Jones in there.
Okay, I'm good where I am.
Okay, so you're good with 3. 3 offensive linemen out of 48. Okay. Kickers, any?
Probably Lou Groza.
So you got 1 kicker. Defense, wide receivers. There are 29 wide receivers in the NFL Hall of Fame.
Okay, let's see what we got. Because I want to be respectful to the older player too.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Okay. Raymond Berry.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any comments on these, please bring it up because this is going to be a good exercise. Seth is actually intrigued by this exercise.
Randy Moss.
Okay.
Don Hudson.
Okay.
Jerry Rice. And I'm going to say Crazy Legs Hirsch.
Okay, so you have 5 wide receivers. Okay, so you have two centers, 3 tackles, or I think that's 3 offensive linemen in total.
I'm going to probably have to go back and take some more. I may have to run through this twice.
1 kicker, and 5 wide receivers. Okay. Now, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing for you. I would err on the side of the other way. And the reason I'd say that is because if you don't think they're upper echelon on the first run, you shouldn't be required to have 100. The goal is to make the upper echelon Hall of Fame. If you're not saying this if you're saying I got to fill in more, that's not an upper echelon Hall of Famer to you.
No. That's because it's a slippery slope. It's almost, I think I'd rather do like a top 50 and then a second 50 kind of thing.
Okay, well, we can limit it to 50. I mean, you're at right now 5, 6.
Okay, let's keep going, dude. You want me to do this? Let's keep doing this.
All right. Tight ends.
Okay. Tony Gonzalez.
Oh, we still haven't gotten to running backs yet. Yep.
Ozzie Newsome. Actually, no, just Tony Gonzalez.
Just Tony Gonzalez. Okay. Running backs. So you got 1 for the tight end. And running back, there's a lot of guys really, really old. Like Bronco Nagurski.
Yeah, well, I think in someone like that, I think you kind of have to put in Walter Payton.
Okay.
Why is Jim Brown not on this list?
He's probably on the halfback fullback. He is on the halfback fullback list.
Oh,
Well, I'm looking at a halfback fullback list.
Okay, so there's halfback running. Okay.
There's running back QB, and then I got halfback fullback.
Okay. Jim Brown.
Yep.
Walter Payton, I said. Barry Sanders. Gail Sayers.
Okay.
And I will stop. I may take either a Falk or Tomlinson. I haven't decided which one. I want one of a more modern day running back.
So you got
Nagurski. Also, Nagurski belongs there.
I got Nagurski in here. So you got 5.
Okay.
So you got 5.
Okay.
I'm actually surprised you don't have OJ in there.
I mean, he's a Hall of Famer, but not long enough. Not long enough to.
Okay. Quarterbacks. This is hard. This is not easy. Quarterbacks.
Okay, hold on.
If you look at them just as quarterbacks, because then there's ends and then there's quarterback running backs, like Sammy Ball.
Sammy Ball makes it.
Okay.
Otto Graham. Peyton Manning. Joe Montana. Johnny Unitas.
So legendary people that are not in yours. Benny Friedman. I mean, these are older guys. Benny Friedman, Sid Luckman, Ernie Nevers, Fritz Pollard, Jim Thorpe.
Fritz Pollard would make it as a coach, not as a quarterback.
Okay. Steve Van Buren.
They're all running backs.
Well, here they're all quarterback running backs. It's okay.
I don't even see them.
George Landa, Sonny Jurgensen.
Hold on, let me go to running back quarterback because there may be some I'm missing there.
Okay.
Wow, this is hard.
Uh-huh. And I will tell you while you continue to look, I am not the biggest Montana fan. I
don't know how he doesn't make the Hall of Fame, though.
I may be in the minority, but I am not. Out of those, if I'm cutting one, it's probably Montana.
Okay. The three people I'm going to add here are Nagurski, Nevers, and Jim Thorpe.
Well, we have Nagurski under running backs. So Nevers and Thorpe. Okay. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 quarterbacks. So in total now you have 9, 12, 13, 18, 23 players.
Damn. Okay, let's go to defensive lineman, I guess.
Well,
what's next? You tell me. Where do I go next?
You can go to I'm looking at so there are a couple of guys. I'm just going to name some names, and you tell me if maybe you missed them. I don't know. Y.A. Tittle?
No.
Okay. We have Hudson, right? No, we have Hudson here. Yep. Marion Motley?
No.
Ollie Matson?
No.
Okay. Paul Horning?
No.
Frank Gifford?
No.
Okay. I think then you're fine. Okay. Elroy Hirsch.
I have him in. I said Crazy Legs Hirsch.
Oh, then you have one more. Sorry. No, I have him as a wide receiver instead of and Lance Allworth.
Do I have Raymond Berry in?
You do have Raymond Berry.
I'll leave Allworth off.
Okay.
I would probably take Calvin Johnson before Allworth.
Okay. Mel Hine.
Mel Hines is a safety as well as a defensive end.
Okay. Steve Owen.
No.
All right. Offensive lineman Roosevelt Brown.
No.
Forrest Gregg. Jerry Kramer.
No.
Bruce Matthews. Jonathan Ogden.
Yeah, Jonathan Ogden.
Okay. Orlando Pace.
No.
Art Shell.
Yes.
Will Shields.
No.
Jackie Slater.
I'm good.
Gene Upshaw.
No, it's either Shell or Upshaw. I'll take Shell.
Gary Zimmerman.
No.
Okay. All right. So we added 2 more.
I'm really limiting the crap out of this.
You are. So you got 1, 2. So you went from 3 offensive linemen to now 5. Okay. All right. Defensive line. We got
does that include defensive tackle or no?
For me, it does. Yes.
Okay. So hold on.
Yes. For me, it does.
Okay.
By the way, I think you're doing a good job. Like, I think you're narrowing this down, which is good. I'm just interested because you have 7 quarterbacks, and yes, quarterbacks the best of probably going to be the most. But let's see.
Joe Green.
Okay.
Deacon Jones. Alan Page. Bruce Smith. Reggie White. God damn.
Okay, I'm going to pull out some names. Bob Lilly.
That's the one I'm kind of playing with. No.
Art Donovan.
No.
Curly Cup.
No.
Then I don't see anything that you're missing here. Merlin Olsen would be the other one.
That's one. Bill Willis I'm looking also at.
And Andy Robustelli.
No.
Okay.
Okay, let's keep going.
So you're good. Okay, so you have 5 defensive linemen.
I'm building a team. I'm not really building a Hall of Fame. I'm building a team
16,
here.
21, 28, 30. You are at 30. You have 20 to go. Defensive backs. So you have defensive backs and linebackers, safeties, and corners. Well, I guess defensive backs are
Doesn't defensive backs cover that?
Yeah, it does. So there are 31 linebackers and there are 36 defensive backs, and you still have a head coach. And if you're putting in Ray Guy as the only punter.
I'm not putting in a punter.
Okay. Linebackers. Go ahead.
Chuck Bednarik, if I don't have him in already.
You do not.
Dick Butkus. Sam Huff. Ray Lewis. Ray Nitschke. Lawrence Taylor. Okay.
Okay, I would put in Singletary as well. But
So I have enough middle linebacker. I have like 4 middle linebackers in there. I really need an outside linebacker.
yeah, you're not creating a team. Remember, we're not creating, and I might put in Willie Lanier as well. But you're not creating a team. Okay, so you have 6 linebackers. Defensive backs. We'll put Dion in because Dion's the name of the game for this. I can't imagine you don't have Deion Sanders in there. So
Of course I do.
I'm putting Dion in. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Defensive back. Okay.
There are 36 defensive backs, with just 5 more linebackers than in the Hall of Fame than defensive backs.
Dick Lane. Ronnie Lott. Dion.
Yep.
I feel like I should put in one of the Woodsons.
I would put in Rod. Played more positions.
Yeah.
I have a couple others in here that I would put in.
Mel Blunt. And I'll put in Herb Adderley over Champ Bailey.
Okay, so you have 6 defensive backs. Myself, I would have. Who was the guy I was going to put in? I would put in Darryl Green. I think so. Okay, so right now, your team is 11, 12. Oh, you have the kicker. Okay, so hold on. 6, 12, 17, 24, 29, 30, 35, 36, 41, 43. You have 43 people in your Hall of Fame, which, to be fair, is exactly the way you envision this. You envision this to be a small Hall of Fame. You have always said that.
Yeah,
So,
I could probably put another 30 or 40 in without a problem, but it's hard doing it. It's hard.
I don't disagree. Okay, so now we have head coaches, right? And then you have contributors.
I'll go to contributors first.
Okay.
Oops.
Oh, they actually have these broken down even more into safeties and guards, which I didn't realize. Okay.
Contributors.
And there are a couple of other people. Okay.
Just going through the list, right? Pete Rozelle. Al Davis.
That was going to be my guy. I was like, he would be a guy that would be forgotten, by the way. I believe in these small halls.
Probably Lamar Hunt. Maybe I would put in Ed Sable because of the impact he had on the NFL NFL TV.
How are you not putting in George Hallis?
That would be the other one. That's the other
I
one.
mean, at the end of the day. So if I'm looking at this list, if there's anybody else, I'd put probably in a Rooney at some point. I don't know which Rooney, but I'd put in a Rooney.
Principal Ed Rooney.
Ed Rooney. But if you're putting in a Rooney, you got to put in a Mara, right? Because you can't.
That's the problem. Is you start to it's kind of start. Okay, so I'm going to head coaches.
I mean, do you put in Burt Bell too? I mean, right?
He was the first commissioner, but I'm not sure if that.
Okay. So we got 5, and the thing is, Al Davis counts as a coach, and so does Hallis. So you got 2 coaches there, right then and there. But are there any other coaches that you?
Paul Brown.
Okay.
Probably Sid Gilman. Jimmy Johnson.
Ooh. Okay.
Vince Lombardi. Fritz Pollard. I'd say probably Don Shula and Bill Walsh.
I think you're over, actually. You're over your 50. I'm not saying you're over 100. Obviously not.
Yeah,
I was going to say Walsh has to go in there. I'm not sure Jimmy Johnson goes in there.
I think maybe not. I mean, he was so good for. Yeah, maybe not. It's a hard call. Look, this is all brutal.
I didn't say it wasn't. The reason. So if I'm looking at your list and you have 2, hold on a second. Let me do the math. 2, 7, 8, 13, 14, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 36, 42, 47. You have 54 people in this Hall of Fame, which is exactly what you wanted if you're talking about a small hall.
Yeah, I think I also made this more of like my all-time team versus my. I'm sure that is a very difficult.
I didn't say it wasn't going to be difficult. In fact, I wanted it to be difficult.
What did you think?
So I think if I'm looking down your list, I agree with. Look, there may be more inclusions. I'm looking at guys that I would exclude from your list because I didn't write down everything I would include. I totally agree with your 2 centers in Otto and Webster. I would add Walter Jones to your tackles. I don't know how I would do. If I had to move people around, I would. Do you include a kicker? I don't really know if you include a kicker in this.
Well, Groza was also an all-pro tackle.
Okay.
Why I could justify.
I did not know that. So, okay. I don't have any argument with your wide receivers other than do I put in Don Maynard over Raymond Berry? That right.
You're a Jets fan.
Jets fan. I get it. Okay. I think Gonzalez is an overrated player. Okay. I think Tony Gonzalez is an overrated player.
The problem is the tight end that won in is Kelsey.
I said, is there another tight end that I would put over him?
Maybe
probably Ditka. I'd probably put Ditka over him. Or
it depends. If you want it's a different era.
By the way, do I get Ditka as a coach? I get one spot.
You don't want Ditka as a coach.
I get him as a coach too.
You're not taking Ditka as a coach.
And a GM that traded everything for Ricky Williams. So I mean,
you're not taking Ditka as a coach.
Okay. Peyton Nagurski, Jim Brown, Barry Sanders, Gale Sayers. The only one that I would have a problem with would be Sayers. Yep. I just don't think it's long enough.
Fair enough.
For this.
I think he was revolutionary. That's why.
I agree with that. And
that's why I probably would put in either Falk or Tomlinson, not because I think they were the best of what was left, but they were a different kind of running back.
That's true. There's no question they were a different kind of running back.
And it also maybe why you brought up Marion Motley or Bill Willis. He was more of a fullback kind of player, and that's why they may be there too.
So with that in mind, okay, I mean, Hugh McElhaney was a different type of running back for that era, right? I mean, he was the first of the catchers out of the backfield. So, I mean, Doak Walker, the same type. Doak Walker wasn't there long enough. He only played 5 weeks. But, I mean, look, O.J. Simpson was a different type of running back too for his time. I get what you're saying. This is incredibly hard. And I would put O.J. in. There was nobody more dominant for his time than O.J. Look, we think about him in a different light.
See, the thing is also you're not taking anybody out, so it's okay. It's not like you're taking out O.J. You're taking out Peyton to put in O.J.
I said I would take out Sayers.
Okay, you're taking out fair enough.
I would take if I'm making changes, I will do this for next week. If I am making changes, I will take somebody out.
Okay, but you got to keep it around 50. Yes, you got to keep it.
I will keep it at your limit, and I will see.
Do you want me to do a baseball one also, and you can.
Yeah.
Or do you want to do the baseball? Why don't you
next week, I think you should hit me.
Okay.
Straight up. I won't even look it up. Next week we'll do this on the fly for baseball.
Cool.
Okay. And we'll probably do it on Tuesday if you can do it on Tuesday. Because
I'll take a look, but
I'll be on a plane on Wednesday. Okay. So if I'm looking at your defense, I don't know enough about Adderley. Let's presume I'm okay with it because I don't know enough. I may take out Mel Blount. I don't know who I would replace him with, but there's enough Steelers on this team, in the league, not on this team, but I mean, part of what the Steelers had was just a combination of everything, right? So how you base that? Your linebackers are the best in the game, top to bottom. Like there's no question. You could add 3 or 4 more linebackers to that list easily. Joe Green, Deacon Jones, Alan Page. I'm not a huge Bruce Smith fan. I never have been. I think he was a one-trick pony. I really do. I've always thought that, so I'd probably find somebody to replace Smith somewhere in this. Your quarterbacks, look, Montana deserves to be in this, even if I'm not a huge Montana fan. He deserves to
Would you put Montana over Elway?
Yes. Absolutely. I am not an Elway fan. Well, let me put it this way. I am not an Elway supporter as the best of the best. I'm just not. I'd probably put Marino in over Elway because I think Marino changed
the game. Did I have Marino in or no?
You did not.
That was one of the harder.
I think Marino was just a better
quarterback. He just didn't have the talent around him.
Okay, so we got 3 minutes left. So look, we didn't get to touch upon the Women's World Cup and the loss there too. Seth, again, we're going to talk about penalty kicks and how nothing should end on a penalty kick. Particularly somebody's career should not end on a penalty kick. And here we are again. This will never change, which is the worst part of it all. It seems like the more sports are changing, the less soccer cares about change. And that to me is unfortunate. But congrats to Lionel Messi, who seems to not be able to miss a penalty kick. So good on him.
Yeah, but he's taking free kicks from outside the box. It's a little different.
I guess so. So that's my – and look, congratulations. We talked about Megan Rapinoe earlier in a couple of weeks ago, and congratulations on a tremendous career. You not only changed the game, but you changed women's sports. And for that, 2 thumbs up. You got anything for 2 minutes?
Welcome back. The EPL, which starts in 2 days. And I am joining an EPL.
Yay!
I'm joining an EPL fantasy league, so that should be fun.
Really?
Yeah, for free. A friend of mine's doing it, so I'm curious. We'll see.
If it's free, I'd love to join just so I can learn more about the EPL.
Okay, I'll get you the information.
Get me in. All right, guys. Next week we'll probably be on Monday or Tuesday, and we'll do this for baseball. And Seth can put me on the spot. So for Seth Kamen, Sean Palmer, this is a great show, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Have a good one, everybody.
Have a good one.